Hey everyone, this is Felicia with The Book is Done. I hope that everyone is well, enjoying their day so far. It is December 3rd, which is a Saturday. It's a little rainy where I'm at, but it's a nice day to kind of sit in and read. I just finished this book, The Kindest Lie by Nancy Johnson, and I I would give this book, I would rate this book about a 3.5, 4. Um, this does have some spoilers, so any event that you have not read it yet, I do apologize. You may want to turn it off. It is available at all major retailers. I had gotten it from Target, obviously, from the 20% sticker. But I, this book, it was just stating that it was a book about a woman, the friendship between an African American woman and a young Caucasian little boy. And at first, they made it seem that it was about race. And it was traces of race sprinkled throughout the book, but it was like modern day time. If I have it placed right, it was placed right around November of 2008. And I say that because it was placed along the line, like the book started when it was saying that President Obama had been nominated as the first African American president of the United States. And so right there, it told me that setting was in 2008. And so that's what the book is setting, or where it's placed, if you will, starts. And so it's fairly recent, fairly a modern book. The Kindest Lie, the main character, her name is Ruth, and she befriends a little boy nicknamed Midnight. His real name is Patrick. And she is from this little town in Indiana. I want to say it's called Ganton, Indiana. She lives in Chicago. Her husband and her, they're pretty well to do in Chicago. She is an engineer. And I forgot what it is that he does within the political realm, I believe. Forgive me if I'm incorrect if you've read this at all. But her husband, fairly newlyweds. They had gotten married. Maybe they've been together for about 5 or 7 years. Fairly newlyweds. Maybe about 3, 4 years, 4 years. I think they had been married, and he has started having her husband, Xavier, has started having a discussion of having kids, and she just kind of felt uneasy. She was just like, maybe we can get a dog, a puppy. But she would become nauseous. And so, like, basically, long story short, is talking about how Ruth had a baby when she was 17. She was a senior in school, and her grandmother and her brother wanted her to have a better life, meaning to get out of Ganton, Indiana. Ganton, Indiana was kind of like an industrialized town, where they had like big factories that people had worked in like their whole lives, like 50, 60, 70 years. And they noticed that she was smart, and that she did really well in school with her grades and stuff. So they wanted a better life for her. So they made sacrifices to have her. She had got accepted into Yale. So they wanted her to just go and make a better life. In all things, when she was 17, she did have the baby, and her grandmother had given her baby up for adoption. And at first, you would believe that it was a closed adoption because she didn't know anything about it. But it was just like one day, her and her husband, Xavier, were having a conversation, and she was just like, you know what? I'm going to find my son. So she goes back home, and she talks with her grandmother. Her grandmother's name is Mama, and her brother's name is Eli. And it was a story that was the kindest lie. I get it. I get the title of the story, the title of the book. It is Nancy Johnson's first book, The Kindest Lie. I don't know. it was very it was very well written. I'll say that. It was very, very well written. It had a nice flow about it. You went back and forth between Ruth and Midnight. And so, I just felt like everything is about 322 pages in the book. Everything kind of came to fold maybe around the 300-page mark. And I will say throughout the book, I was starting to get like a little bored, but it wasn't because the story was boring rather, excuse me. It was that I was just ready for it to get to like, okay, what's the next part? Like, what's the connecting part? How does all of this make sense? And it wasn't like an anticipation type thing. It was just like, okay, I'm over it type thing. But not in a bad way. Like I said, it was a very good book. And it was like everything was kind of spilled out as to what happens next, like, about her son and, what's going on, what's going to happen between her and her husband, what's going to happen between, her grandmother and her friend, her brother and his wife and his family, what's going to happen with Midnight and his family, what is his dad rather, it's just, I had it didn't leave any questions unanswered. It just made you feel like you wanted more. Um, I felt like there needed to be more of a closing at the end of it. Like, it would have been nice to see like at the end where it was just like 6 months later or a year later, just to kind of get an update as to how things were going, how things kind of played out. And so I get the book, I respect the book. Not quite sure if I would buy her next work. More than likely I would, just to kind of see exactly what it is. But that is my book review of The Kindest Lie by Nancy Johnson. It was a good book. It was a good book. It's a good read. I was starting to carry it with me everywhere I went. Probably for like the last day. Like, okay, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen if I read a little bit? What's gonna happen now? So I would definitely go and check it out. Again, it's called The Kindest Lie by Nancy Johnson. That book is done. What's next? I have two possibilities. I'm forever reading. My to be read pile is out of control, like seriously out of control. But I have this beauty, Alice Feeney, Daisy Darker. She is the author that had written Rock, Paper, Scissors, what I had talked about maybe a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Amazing. And I think at that point, that was her third book. Daisy Darker is her fourth book. So I'm kind of excited to see exactly what it's about. And then this little beauty right here, Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. Rekulak? There we go. Rekulak. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name wrong. I have heard really, really, really good things about it. When I was reading the previews on the inside of the book cover, I was just like, okay, we can give it a go. We can give it a go. I believe that this is his first novel as well. Excuse me. He does have another book called The Impossible Fortress. And so that seems to have went really well. But again, this has been receiving a lot of good praise as it's coming out. So it's going to be one of those two books that I'm going to start. If I don't start both of them, I am leaning more towards this little number right here because I already know how Alice flows. I already know the book is going to have me by my pants in anticipation. And let me see, I believe this book is a total of 335 pages. So if it is as good as I believe that it is, today is Saturday, I'll probably be finished with this book by Tuesday, if not Monday. We shall see. It depends on how much time I have on my hands. But until the next time the book is done, that is what's next. And I hope that y'all have a good day. Thank you. Bye, y'all.